By the end of this video, you'll see how to take your axes from this to this in no time. Alright, so these are both the same axe. Got from the same place, same time, all of that's the same. Difference is, I grinded the edge off of this one and this one, or on this side. And this one is exactly how you see it. So, try to get a good look here in the camera. There's a much more of a fine point over here rather than over here. And so that's the goal, is to make this look like this. Alright, so I took a trip to the store today and got a couple items. First up was this angle grinder. It was not too bad, badly priced, pretty good deal. And then I got some grinding discs as well as flat discs. I wasn't sure what to get, so I wanted to get a couple of things and figure out what I needed. This was a 10-pack for maybe $8 or $9. 40 grit discs. Then I also picked up, this was a 40 grit flat disc. So this was about maybe $8-9 on its own. And then same with this guy, this was 120 grit. So make sure there was 4-inch and 4.5-inch discs. So make sure you get the right one to match your angle grinder. And then I also got this rubber sanding block. I saw some videos online saying this might be helpful. So the only thing that I think is actually useful and that I would buy again are these. That's it. This takes off a whole chunk of material compared to those regular discs. And the 120 grit isn't used as much, or I didn't use it as much, but I was able to use it to help clean things up a little bit. So for a quick comparison, I'm grinding off one side with that very thin 40 grit disc. I'm going about an inch, maybe an inch and a half back, taking off little bits of material at a time, trying to smooth it all out. I did this for about 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes before I switched over to the flap disc, also 40 grit, and I'm doing that on the other side. And the same thing, I'm going about an inch and a half or so back, trying to take off as even of a material off as I can. You can already see that the flap disc takes off material much more uniformly than the standard grinding disc. So here's the side with the disc flap, or the flap disc. I want to call it disc flap. This is the side with just the disc. So it's a little more rough. This one is a little more smooth, shiny. They're both the same grit. So I will say the 120 grit flat disc that I got would smooth all of this out. But why use that when you can get this right away? All right. Also, flat disc, or just the disc. So there's a little unevenness here. That is still hot. It's not too bad on this side, but anyways, this was about the same amount of time. I'd say this side came out a little bit better, but I still got some work to do, so I'm gonna finish it up. All right, so what I'm doing is just evening out everything here. So I'm looking for those high points. Maybe I went a little too low in some areas, so I gotta even it out and make it as straight as possible all the way around. It helps to have a little test block nearby, so when you feel like you're ready to stick it to something, you can just kind of lightly drop it into that chunk of wood and see if it sticks. And if it doesn't, well, you still got some more sharpening to do. Now, once I got it to stick, I took that 120 grit flap disc and smoothed it out just a little bit more, made it a little more shiny and smooth near the end. Building the target itself isn't that bad. You can put that together pretty easily for about $100 in materials or less. And if your axes don't stick, make sure you're throwing it right. It's gonna bounce right off if you're not hitting on the blade. And it sounds obvious, but when these blades are sharp, they will stick. Watch this video to see how to take your axes from this to this And then I got a couple of flap discs here. I need an axe.